Seek the truth. Inner is free, plus I'm not for you. Both and are gone, what did they do? Repackage the debt, derivative change, 98% lost to financial gain. Look it up yourself, don't take my word. Networks of finance loan transfers. Usury prohibited within their home. While your mortgage bleeds you to the bone. Be a currency, wait up that central bank. The system said, prison, yeah, quota sand, dollar jolly, can't forget. Financial collapse, here's the proof. Second order derivatives climb while the dollar dies over time. These are facts.
Welcome back, Danksters. It is Danks from the Danksters Intelligence Apparatus, the one, only, original American Dankster. I bring to you, which most of you I'm sure already know, that war has begun. We have bombed. I say we because it is our tax dollars. It is our president. It is our country working cohesively with the likes of Israel, not the likes, with Israel, bombing Iran. Now, I'm Iranian. I'm not from Iran. My dad is from Iran. My mom's dad is half Iranian. My mom's mom is Jamaican, Cuban from Jamaica. So I'm 3/4 Iranian, 1/4 Hispanic. So that might lead to say, well, how do you feel about this, Danks? And I'll tell you what, I am an American. Let's see, how can I say this? I don't have a side other than what is best for America. Okay. My interest is America first. America first is as far as I'm actually willing to take it. I'm almost an America only person, almost. But I also realize that's irrational because that just will never happen. Today's going to be a different type of a live stream. And if you're just joining, if you're new to the channel, welcome. If you haven't yet, please hit the like, hit the subscribe, and buckle up. Today is going to be a little bit different. We're going to do live coverage. I'm going to show you some of the things that people have been talking about, some of the accounts that I watch, that I see on X, on YouTube, and we're going to read super chats throughout. So if you have questions that you want me to see, please throw a super chat. Or I will also be going through the chat if I can see things that I think are interesting to talk about. Also, I have about 2.5 to 3 hours, and I'm willing to go that whole way. But I also want to talk about Ian's live stream from last night. I know I watched the whole thing. There's a lot of things I want to discuss around that, and I think that I'm a good person to jump into that conversation because there's not a lot of people that are in our niche, in our sphere on the internet, on YouTube. Also, by the way, yeah, I am feeling a lot better. Yesterday was rough. Today I'm feeling a lot better, but I do have, like yesterday I had a really bad stomach problem, issues there, and then I had a really bad headache. And I think it's because I've been not getting enough sleep. and also on the screen a lot, even in bed watching TV on my phone. It's like nonstop. And that's just part of my life. So whatever, it is what it is. But yeah, I am feeling better. Thanks for asking. So we're going to talk about Ian stuff as well. But obviously, the Iranian thing needs to be covered. And I want to ask questions. I did drop a poll in the chat before we started. Do you think this will cause World War III? We've got 61 votes so far, and no is outweighing by a few percent. So let's see if we can get more votes on the poll. I'd really like to know what people think. But in case you haven't heard, which I hope you have, but if you haven't, the United States and Israel have launched a joint military operation on Iran this morning, and they're calling it Operation Epic Fury. Epic Fury, Fury. Explosions have gone across Tehran. This is just from what I know. I'm sure there's more, but I'll just tell you what I have researched for this. Explosions across Tehran, Isfahan, Tabriz, Kermanshah. Multiple cities have just been hit simultaneously. Iran is retaliating as well. I'm going to show you posts, tweets, stuff like that. They're saying, and they have actually shown Israel being bombed or missile flying from Iran to Israel, against Bahrain, against Qatar, against the UAE, Saudi Arabia, against Kuwait, and against U.S. military bases. Now, the reason why they're dropping, they're shooting, I would imagine they're shooting these missiles across borders to Saudi, Israel. Obviously, I know why Israel, and we can get into that, but I think it's also because U.S. military bases are there. Qatar is not one to play with, but they're also very standoffish from what I've seen. They are kind of almost trying to mediate. Look, again, I'm newer to politics, but I've learned a lot very quickly. However, I haven't been around decades to say, well, this is how they were back then. So I'm open to learning, and I'm here moving forward with everybody here. So please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Welcome to the new member. I plan on doing a members only live stream hopefully tomorrow. If not, now I will say also one last thing. I have a contract that is picking up on Tuesday. So I'm going to be veering further into live streams because it's just easier for me to do. I can do the research really easily. I have a lot of data and information stored, and editing videos is a little challenging and time consuming. And I get the same views and I get more engagement with you guys and the community when I do live streams. So I'm probably going to start veering more heavily towards live streams here because I do have 2 major deals and I have to code a lot. So that being said, I know there's a lot of people streaming across YouTube. So this is going to be for the danksters. And let me say real quick, I'm on America's side. Okay. But there's a lot of things that I see that we need to remember. And we're going to get into all of that. But back to what I was saying about Ian. He has a very interesting live stream, and we're going to cover some of that today as well. So let's get right into it. And I will say, basically, the only Gulf state that has not been hit is Oman. And that's because Oman was the one mediating the peace talks. So let me say that again. Oman's foreign minister said yesterday that a breakthrough has been reached. Iran had agreed to never stockpile enriched uranium. They agreed to a full verification through the IAEA. Iran agreed to irreversibly downgrade its current enriched uranium to the lowest possible level. The foreign minister of Oman said peace was within hours. I mean, within reach, I guess. And then hours later, bombs started flying. 4 a.m. here. More trouble, not good. All the best. Thank you, bro. Good to see you, man. I know it's terrible out here. Let me say that again, man. Thank you for the super chat, Pete. Good to see you. The thing is, they were within reach. Okay, look, I'll show you what I see. Oh shit, I just deleted something. I needed that. I think it was this one. I think this is it right here. Let me see. Okay. I'm going to pull up a couple of things here. So today is going to be a lot of commentary. Okay. It needs to be discussed. Okay. Let me make sure this is what I wanted here. Well, yeah. So US and Iran wrap up most intense nuclear talks with no deal, more negotiations ahead. So I'm hearing lots of different perspectives. You're good, bro. Get some rest, man. I'll be here for a little bit. I had to start early because I've got meetings. I have a meeting with one of the contractors today. So I've got to get going early and I got to get out the door. I was going to take a break today, but this stuff is important. The latest round, so this is from CNBC. The latest round of US-Iran talks did not lead to a breakthrough. But then I hear from other perspectives. If I can find it, let me see if I have it here. I'll find it right now, but I'll talk more after I find it. I'll let you know. So we got to start with the big question first. While we do this live commentary, we're going to be looking at Patrick Bet David. We're going to be looking at Cenk from the Young Turks. We're going to be looking at X feeds. The reason why I want to play them is because I want to argue against and for certain things. I was watching PewDie's podcast, and that's what made me want to go live today. As I was like, geez, do they not understand how this is panning out? Because, and you'll see, and we'll get into it and we'll have that discussion. But again, Oman has said, Oman peace talks. Okay, so let's start with the question that everyone keeps hearing. Okay, the nuclear threat. Iran is a nuclear threat. That's what we keep hearing, right? That's what you keep hearing. Iran is about to build a bomb. That's the justification. Iran screams death to America. That's the justification. What are you going to let them do? Just keep screaming death to America? Yeah. Let them scream at the top of their lungs. Who cares, bro? So we're going to look at what we actually know. Okay, I'm going to explain it to you. In June of 2025, the U.S. and Israel ran a 12-day war against Iran. Operation Midnight Hammer. Many of you probably remember. They hit Natanz, they hit Esfahan, they hit Fordo. These are their major nuclear facilities. Israeli strikes also killed 14 leading nuclear scientists. Okay? Remember, this was like 6 months ago, 8 months ago, whatever. And back then I said, this is definitely not the end, right? I even said it. I said, this is definitely not the end. It's a big show, 12-day war, yada, yada, yada. They hit these cities. They took out their nuclear scientists, their lead scientists. The director general went on CNN and said Iran's enrichment program has been significantly set back. If, like, Iran has not been enriching uranium at all since last summer, at least that we can see. And even if, how long do you think it would take? It would take a decade to refurbish what has been destroyed. They physically cannot. That is a fact. The infrastructure was destroyed. Now, here is where it gets interesting. The White House, through spokesperson Caroline Leavitt, now has maintained that those 2025 strikes obliterated Iran's nuclear facilities. Her words were obliterated. That's their words from the White House. Okay? The White House. But then Trump's own envoy, Steve Witkoff, goes on Fox News just days ago and says Iran is probably a week away from having industrial grade bomb making material. So which one is it? Did you obliterate it, or are they a week away? Because you can't go from obliteration. Like, imagine this. Imagine, what's a good example? let's just use, for example, I don't know. Let's use, like, I don't know, Detroit, okay? And not even, you can't even use an American country. You have to use a third world country. Okay, well, let's imagine that Detroit and the Ford Motor Company is in a third world country with no outsourcing ability, like you're cut off from the rest of the world, okay? You have like one or two allies. Imagine that Ford Motor Company in Detroit is Iran, and they are the nuclear power in Iran being built. And imagine we go in and we obliterate over a 12-day war the Ford Motor Company's, this is a hypothetical situation, obviously. If we obliterate Ford Motor Company and they're a third world country facility that builds whatever, how long do you think it would take for them to, like, that's not even fair enough, because you're talking about science and laboratories and people. Imagine if all of them were taken out, the facilities were completely destroyed, obliterated. Are we 6 months, 8 months away from them just like selling cars again? How does that even make sense? They don't have the sourcing abilities that we have. So which one is it? And then let's talk about what's actually doing, like what Iran is actually doing about these strikes. They were in salvage mode. Satellite imagery showed them putting roofs over bombed out facilities, not to rebuild, but to, maybe they are rebuild. I mean, I would be like, well, shit. I mean, we need to figure something out. I don't know. What are you going to do? If I was leader there, I'm obviously not. So that's why I'm here and just talking to a microphone. But they're trying to figure out if anything survived underneath the rubble. We saw the pictures. Let me look and see if I can find the pictures of the war here. Iran rubble after 12-day war. Let's see if we can find. This is what we're looking at, I think. 12-day war. Okay? This is what we're looking at here. Okay? And it's like underground, so it implodes. Right? I mean, it looks like Gaza, bro. I mean, this is not something that you just go from zero to hero in 6 months. It's not, okay? I'm just saying, we have to be realistic here. It has to be, because if not, then who are we doing it? We're not doing ourselves any favors. So we have to research, look at history, see what's unfolded, how this stuff is actually working out, okay? Long term. They were digging a new underground facility called Pickaxe Mountain near the Natanz area, like 100 meters deep into the granite. It's a mountain, but it wasn't operational. It was under construction. Iran's entire military budget for 2024 or 2025, I think, was like close to $8 billion. The United States had spent, and that was before the bombing, Iran's entire military budget for that. I mean, where are you going to get this money to reinstall and remanufacture and find these scientists and to just all of a sudden go back to they have bombs, right? I don't see that being the case. Now they know that, so now they're shifting their policy on why, because we need to free their people. Look, this might be a good place to, I mean, I have a lot of, I have this debrief, but I kind of just want to get into what PVD was saying, because I think it'd be an interesting commentation here. Let me pull up PVD, because there are some things, I think I'm just going to play through a lot of this and talk, but because every time I say something through this, I just want to, Okay, so let me find this here. I think it started like right around when he started asking other people. Let me
And you've
hear
seen
in
this
the
poll, and
chat.
you're saying, but Pat, Americans don't. Could have been some of his friends was, I think, a year ago, and he says, "Do you want to see U.S. go to war with Iran?" And I think some 80+% said no. Maybe 90% said no. That poll is out there. For Americans that see that poll, is that the one? 88%. For Americans who have seen this poll, and I've seen it as well, Charlie, I was having dinner with some of his friends. Was it last night or 2 nights ago? We were in Vegas.
Last night.
Could have been last night. Yeah.
The guy's flying around so much on a private jet, he can't even remember if he was in Vegas last
2 nights ago in Vegas. And we're having conversations and stories. If you're somebody that's watched this and you've seen this poll and you're saying, but Pat, Americans don't want to go to war with Iran. I
have a really good point here. Watch.
It. And you've seen this poll and you're saying, but Pat, Americans don't want to go to war with Iran. I get it. I understand. I fully understand. You don't want to see something like this taking place. I fully get it. So to me, as somebody who has lived there, knows the atrocities they bring to everybody, and knows how much the current regime of Iran hates you having freedom, hates everything America stands for, hates everything the Western ideology stands for. They don't like what we stand for and how we live. They hate it. But for Americans that are saying, Pat, but we don't want to go to war, I get that as well. It's not an easy thing.
Who does the country of American government work for? Who does the American government work for? Does it work for themselves? Does it say, hey, is it like, because this is what they're trying to carve out here. To me, what it looks like is they are saying, hey, we're the parents and you're the children, and we're going to make decisions based off of whatever we think is best for you guys. Too bad. I know it's a tough situation, but we got to do it. I mean, we just got to do it, you know? But if the Americans are voting, right? If Americans are voting no, 88%, what's going on here? So how is that? So this is 250,000 votes, right?
Having dinner with some of his friends was the last this happened, but
So there's a lot to say. We have to realize that they can say whatever they want. They can chant death to America. We just obliterated, according to them, their nuclear powers. Now, again, all the money that is being spent, all the things that we are doing for other countries, when we have, and welcome to Ukrainian Cat, we got a new member here. Join us for members only live streams on Friday. Good to see you. He's an old, longtime friend of mine. So it's good to see him in the memberships, and hopefully we'll get to engage soon. Solely on the Tully, welcome. The thing is, look, we have so much here that needs to be taken care of. It's not our problem, man. It's not our problem. So whose problem is it really? Well, do you see the first bombs that go out, or the missiles, I guess you could say, from Iran to where? Where's the first missile that goes out? Israel, right? The first missile that goes out is to Israel. Let me look if I can find that. And then I want to tell you a couple of things here about other countries screaming death to America. Okay. Let me see. Latest. It's like they were here. I should have just like downloaded all the videos. Latest media. Okay, well, this is 10 seconds ago. Let me see. Bill Cooper. I don't know who this is, but 85. Okay, so Iran launched missile barrage at Israel following strikes on Supreme Leader's compound. Explosions reported across Gulf states. So they're targeting. The reason why is because this is the country that is coming, that is at the most threat, right? Grok says the current escalation, U.S. and Israel launched airstrikes today on nuclear sites, military nuclear sites, leadership targets across Iran. But then I find this. And now it's really hard for me to determine what's true and what's not. But I will say this. This right here, man, this really gets me. The destroyed building is a primary school for girls in the south of Iran. It was bombed in broad daylight when packed with young pupils. Dozens of innocent children have been at this site alone. These crimes against the Iranian people will not go unanswered. This is, and they've said, okay, I understand. Look, I have family in Iran. I think I can even pull up a picture that I sent to somebody that I can purely show the truth, right? But they are at a point now where they're willing to take the loss of other lives because of the fact that Ayatollah keeps attacking and attacking and attacking. That's the rhetoric. That's where they're at, essentially. They're saying, hey, like, we're just gonna, like, fuck it, essentially. We need to do what we gotta do. That is a strong opinion, even from Iranians. So that's the truth. I'm trying to find the screenshot. I might just take it again and send it to my drive so I have it here. So you guys can see, my dad is from Iran. We have family there. And I asked him, I said, hey, let me see if I can find this. Okay. I'm just going to put it out there. You guys can see whatever. This is what I feel. This is how I feel. This is what I see happening. Let me upload this to my drive. This was spur of the moment, random. I didn't really have much of a plan. I just wanted to come out here and talk to you guys and show you a lot of what's happening. Okay, let me upload this. Let me pull it out of my drive. So you have to remember, though, we're not there, okay? It seems to me that they're at a point to say, fuck it. We need to do something, and casualty of war, no matter what it is like, I just don't understand that perspective. I think that if we can go in and eradicate a supreme leader, not eradicate, but pull him out, a communist or whatever from Venezuela, I think that there could be a better way to do this than just like straight up attacking the entire country. Okay, so I'm just gonna, this is firsthand report, secondhand report. So I said to my dad, I said, you know that they're gonna attack Iran. He said, I know. I hope Trump hits them hard. Finally, Iran will be free. I said, I don't know what the truth is. I don't know what's really happening in my algorithm and my accounts is all propaganda. He said, Iran government has killed a lot of innocent people just for protesting, around 50,000. I said, that's what they say, but I don't know if I said, I don't think it's true, but I don't know, if it is true or if it's Boston undercover. And he said, no, I have firsthand reports from my cousin in Iran, saw it with his own eyes, killing people in the hospital. Let me show another thing here, actually. This is what they're saying. This is family from Iran, my dad. And I believe what he's saying, he wants the best for, obviously he has family there, but the country has been in turmoil. The only issue is that we have to remember, how many times are we going to go through this? Every time we set foot in another country, like Iraq, Afghanistan, whatever, Iran, multiple times. Okay. I'm trying to, this will be the last time I'm on my phone. So upload complete. So what happens is that we do this and then we don't actually do anything to maintain the power that we are trying to implement. That's the issue, right? So then I sent him this. He said, "You don't know how happy all of us Iranians are. I wasn't a Trump guy, but I am now." I said, "I know, but what about innocent people? Fuck them, just let them die. Casualty of war, kids. The government of Iran has killed many people and kids and will kill more if they are not stopped." And this is a lot of the same feelings that people have across Iran. So the issue is we have a lot of things. It's like there are a lot of countries in turmoil with all of these crazy radical leaders and all this stuff. So what do? We just go in and no, it's specifically because there's one country that needs that from us. And whether the Ayatollah is as bad as they say, which I believe my dad, he has family there with businesses there. I have family there. They want it to stop. The reason why it's so important for Israel or the likes of foreign countries in that area, specifically Israel, is because Israel is the target from Iran. Okay. So the stronger the Ayatollah gets, Israel is under threat day in and day out. The stronger they get and the more power the Ayatollah become. Now, if you want to learn about the Ayatollah, I guess we could just use AI mode on the Google. So I said, tell me about Ayatollah. So the title Ayatollah, meaning sign of God, refers to high-ranking clerics in 12er Shia Islam. While there are currently hundreds of Ayatollahs worldwide, the term is most often used to refer to the supreme leader of Iran. The current leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, role he has served as Iran's supreme leader since '89, making him the longest-serving head of state. He has held absolute authority over the military, the judiciary, and foreign policy, outranking the elected president. So what is the difference? Why is there a supreme leader and a president? And I'm learning. Is Iran's dual leadership system. So they have a dual leadership system. Say thanks to Keats, big Keats, throwing up some memberships. You'll want to be at the members only live streams because we do some pretty incredible stuff there. We do some building, and I'll show you a little bit later. I'm in the middle of this, but I'm in the middle of building a couple of businesses, websites, whatever. Like Ian, I was watching Ian's live stream last night, and I was like, oh man, he's spilling all the beans, bro. And I even texted Jesse on fire, and I'm like, dude, I don't know if Ian is scared, excited, addicted, or shocked. Like, what's going on, Ian? Are you good, my guy? We're gonna get into some of that too. But yeah, if you are a member, you get access to whatever I'm building and stuff. So become a member. So this explains it. So it has a hybrid theocratic authority. So you have a religious section of governance and a political side, I guess, or a Republican side. So they really, right now, under the Khomeini, they don't like the leftists at all, And PBD does explain some of that, and we'll get back to it. But I want to show you what they have. They have both. They have a supreme leader, head of state, and they have the president, head of government. Remember, they are a Muslim state, okay, Muslim country, and it runs deep. So that is literally religion and politics together. They're separated like left and right, but it's together. So I would imagine that the religious sector is a lot like left, or maybe not. I don't know, right? I have no idea what I'm talking about. So the supreme leader holds the ultimate power. The position is based on doctrine of velayat al-faqih. This is guardianship of the jurist, which argues that a top religious scholar must oversee the government to ensure it follows Islamic law. Okay, so maybe Islam, not Muslim. I don't even know what the difference is, to be honest. Role: he is the commander in chief and sets the general policies, and he controls the military and the media. President is the second. Isn't that crazy? The second highest person is the president. Manages the country's day-to-day admin. So he's basically like the HR guy, right? The president is the fucking HR guy. He is responsible for the economy, the national budget, and executing the laws passed by parliament. He appoints cabinet ministers through the supreme leader, often who handpicks the key posts like defense and intelligence. And he, the president, is selected by the public every 4 years. However, all candidates must be vetted and approved by the supreme leader. They call it guardian council, but it's controlled by the supreme leader. Why have both? Checks and balances in theory. The system was intended to allow for people to participate through elections while keeping a religious watchdog at the top to prevent the state from going against the Quran. Insulations from blame. This duality often allows the supreme leader to remain above political failures. If the economy struggles or if a policy fails, the president and his cabinet typically would take the blame, or they'll just be killed. So that is a little bit of a background on what's going on over there.
I lived in Iran as a kid, and I remember the fears, the alarm, the regime, the attacks, and what it was like as a kid going outside. You weren't free. And the first time I got a taste of freedom was when we went to Germany. I said, wait a minute, this actually exists. And then we went to the States. This actually exists. It does. So I understand Americans being concerned about this because you're thinking from heart. You have a heart. And you're sitting there saying, I don't want to see this.
Hold on. I like Ian, but pushing satanic AI is questionable. What are we doing here, bro? Where's the mods at? Ian's and Jew so love satanic AI. Okay, can we get rid of this guy, please? Indefinitely. Yeah, I'm going to do that right now. If somebody doesn't take care of it, I'll do it myself. So, that being said, thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Ian is trying to bring awareness, and I think it's important. Who else is doing that? I haven't done it, although I know everything going on. It's somebody had to open up that conversation. That's going to talk later about. We're going to talk later about.
I don't want to see another Afghanistan. I don't want to see something like this taking place. But this is why having a big job like the job the president has is not for everybody. You have to make some tough decisions. And those decisions means you may have a lot of people that are not supporting you. Keep in mind, he just had the State of the Union speech when? Tuesday night. 3 days later, 4 days later, they're attacking. And they're
and they didn't address any of this in the State of the Union. Say, thank you, Keats, coming through with the memberships. Look, like, subscribe if you haven't already. We are not children of the government. The government works for us. They came out with another poll recently, which maybe I'll pull up. There are a couple points here that I want to talk about. Vinny, he goes and he asks these guys, which is where I want to get to.
On his instinct. And I give this man a lot of credit for having the courage to do what a lot of presidents couldn't do. And while they didn't do that, God knows how many people were killed over there. And the world is not a safer place because Iran got stronger over the years. So that's my thoughts. I got obviously other things to cover here as well. But Tom, I'll come to you. What's on your mind right now?
What's on my mind is people need to pay attention. The United States didn't just surgically strike a compound and other things and bomb those locations in Iran. It didn't just do that. There were sanctions on a global scale. There were negotiations. Then there were more sanctions. As recently as last week, Jared Kushner and Witkoff were in a last-ditch effort for additional negotiations. Don't refine uranium to make bombs. That is our red line. Then we waited for them to be in the same room. Somebody talked or intelligence got it. We knew where they were. We knew who was in the room, Pat, and we knew when they were going to be in the room. Then we surgically struck. You know.
So then why are we seeing Israel bomb Iran, a timeline of talks and threats. Military operations by the U.S. and Israel and Iran marked the most intense escalation. Let me see. The regime will soon learn that no one should challenge the strength and might. After 12 days of fighting, a U.S. brokered ceasefire takes. So this is a timeline, okay? This is a timeline of the 12-day war. So, I mean, this is actually really good here. Look at this. Here, I'll make it a little bigger. Khomeini returns from exile after 14 years. Iran is declared as Islamic Republic. U.S. imposes its first sanctions on Iran. Iraq invades Iran. U.S. hostage crisis ends. Israel invades Lebanon. Iran starts funding the newly formed Hezbollah. Okay. This is a good timeline, actually. I might break this down. So it goes 79, 80, 81. So up until this point, you had the Shah in power, okay? Then, and at that time, from what I understand, life was peaceful in Iran. That's why you have such amazing cultural people from the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. But then we take over. So what is it? We come in. So the Shah was there. They overthrew the Shah. Khomeini comes in the place. And now, like, I don't understand. It is so confusing. It's like you have this person coming in. Like, do they conveniently leave out the Shah? He was there. I'm going to ask this. I want to find out. Early 80s. Okay, we'll find out. I have a question. So then what happens is there's this U.S. hostage crisis and all of this stuff happens. This is from Al Jazeera, but I'm getting a full timeline here leading up to that. So let's go here. So here's the full timeline, clean and factual. This is gold for the stream, blah, blah, blah. It knows I'm streaming. So 1953, Operation Ajax. Iran had a democratically elected prime minister named Mohammad Mossadegh. He nationalized Iran's oil industry, and Britain was furious because of oil and issues like this. So they brought the CIA. Eisenhower approved it. 53 to 79 was the Shah's rule. The Shah modernized Iran on the surface, infrastructure, women's rights, Western-style reforms, but ran a brutal secret police force called Savak, trained by the CIA and Israel Mossad. Savak tortured and killed political dissidents, shut down opposition parties, censored. What happened? Censored. I lost my place to zoom me in. Well, anyways, Nixon and Kissinger specifically used Iran as their regional enforcer. The Iranian people hated him because he was a foreign puppet sitting on a torture apparatus while the oil wealth went to this. So we're going back to the 50s. We greenlit CIA and MI6 operations, paying off military officers, funding street mobs, planting propaganda in their newspapers, and overthrew Mossadegh and reinstalled the Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi as the authoritarian ruler with full power. The Shah had technically been the monarch already, but Mossadegh held real governing authority after the coup. The Shah became a U.S.-backed dictator. Okay? This is what you need to know, not what they're telling us and what you think you know. Then, this is the Shah's ruling the time that he's there. Okay, not like law rules of law. This is while he's ruling. The Shah modernized Iran, but turns out the Shah was America's guy in the region because we placed him there. Okay, Nixon and Kissinger specifically used the Shah as their enforcer. The Iranian people did not like this because he was a foreign puppet sitting on a torture apparatus while the oil wealth went to his inner circle and Western companies. Khomeini's exile. Ayatollah Khomeini was an Islamic cleric who openly opposed the Shah starting in the early 60s. He was arrested in 63, exiled in 64. He went first to Turkey, then Iraq, where he stayed for 14 years in Najaf, then France in 78. From France, he ran a revolutionary propaganda campaign using cassette tapes smuggled into Iran. His sermons were distributed underground across the entire country. He became the symbol of opposition to the Shah. Then in 79 is when the revolution started. That's when my father came in 81, 82 from Iran here. He had escaped, was a refugee, went to Turkey, then to Spain. He was 15, and then he got to the US legally with visas and all this and money. My grandfather was, my history is that my family's legacy, if you will, or whatever. My grandfather had 3 wives. One of his wives, I'll just explain this real quick. One of his wives, not my dad's mom, but my cousin's mom, my cousin's dad's, my cousin's parents' mom, essentially like a half grandma, I guess you could say, made clothing. Okay, she made these gowns. You've seen those gowns. Here, I'll show you. Iranian military leadership outfits and gowns for ceremonies. See if we can find an image of this. Or just leadership. It wasn't okay. So like this type of stuff, right? So if we look at, I'm trying to find some of the outfits, not dresses. Okay, stuff like this. All right. She made stuff like for the kings and queens, or kings and queens, for the Shah, women stuff, but a lot of men stuff. So she ended up making men. This is a very interesting story. Iranian, beautiful. It was beautiful gowns. All right, stuff like this. This is a great example. Open image in new tab. This is a great example. So she would make outfits like this. Okay. A lot of them had diamonds on them, very hand stitched. Now I don't know what this is, if it's, but as far as like today, if it's being made, but this is all handmade stuff back then. So she made it. They would have jewels like rubies and diamonds and emeralds and all kinds of stuff on there, flecks of gold. And so she made something, and my grandfather, in I don't know what year, I think he was in his 30s. So this was a long time ago, before the 60s. And so my grandfather apparently had God tell him, you have to take this to the Shah. He goes to the Shah's palace with a box of a gown, and his mission was to show the Shah this outfit. And they wouldn't let him in. He obviously, but this is the thing, back in like the 40s, 30s, 40s, whatever, 20s, 30s, 40s, I don't think it's 20s. So maybe in the 30s and 40s, I think this happened. They didn't have like a threat or a worry from a local Iranian coming with a box and worrying about bombs and like attacks on the government. So when my grandfather showed up, this is a story that I was told by my parents, and I met my grandfather. And so this is the story that I've been told. Apparently, when he was told, you got to leave, like you can't be here, the security at the Shah's palace, because it was a palace, he wouldn't leave. And one of the wives would come and go, people would come and go, and they would give him dates and stuff. He was out there for, I think, like 2 or 3 days. And ultimately, one of the wives, I believe it was one of the wives, ended up bringing him in and saying, well, asking him, what do you want why are you still here? And he said, because I have this outfit that I want to show to you, to show to the Shah, and Allah told me I have to show him, right? And so they finally let him come in. He's like dirty. He's been there for multiple days. And the Shah says, well, what do you have to show me, And so he shows him this outfit. And right away, the Shah was impressed. He said, I want to make you and your people that make this stuff the main people that create the outfits for all of our leadership. So my grandfather was the one that created, with his wife, and a factory, because they gave him a factory, and then he ended up building an empire after that. So my grandfather was tied in to the Shah and his people and all of this stuff. And he had like this black card that allowed him to, basically, it was like, I'm with the president, give me what I want, let me in, blah, blah, blah. So there's a dictatorship there. But from my seat, in what he was doing, my grandfather, he was just helping make these clothes. And because of it, made them look very good and professional and just beautiful in general. They were a part of the cabinet, if you will, right? So they lived the benefits. My family was very wealthy in Iran, but this destroyed it, right? The Shah, and at the fall of all that, lost most of their wealth. There's another story that happened. My grandfather was killed. There was millions and millions of dollars that were still there in land, cash, gold, metals, property, buildings, businesses when he died. And in Iran, sorry, this is a side tangent, but I'm just giving you a little history because my heritage runs deep in Iran. Basically, what happened was, in Iran, the way that I understood it and the way that this went down, it must be true. The first family member that shows up with documentation saying, I am the family, they get to claim whatever. Like, I don't know if there's a will or how all that shit goes down, but essentially, the one that was, I think it's the one that made the clothing, her kids. So there's three of them. There's Nasreen, Ali, and Amir. Nasreen was still living in Iran when this happened, I think over 15 years ago, when my grandfather was hit by a bus and killed walking to work. He worked downtown in the city of Tehran, had an office there, and he was hit by a bus driver and killed. This is all a conspiracy theory because we don't know exactly how he was killed. But in Iran, well, we know how he was killed, but we don't know what was behind it. In Iran, if you kill somebody on accident and you are a bus driver and you run somebody over, they have a forgiveness law. Like, the family of the person that you killed can say, hey, it was an accident. Like, we're not going to hold you accountable. It's fine. Everybody go home. Nobody goes to jail. Everything's fine. Well, that's what happened. My grandfather gets killed by a truck driver. Nasreen shows up with documentation to the courts, says, this is my father. I want to start getting all the money and the cash and all this, and extracted all of the money. It was millions of dollars. Like, he had 3 wives, and then I have like 20 cousins. So, and then each of his wives had 3 to 7 kids. So there's like 80 of us. Okay. It would have been, I think the money would have broken down to, if they split it evenly amongst all of us, it would have been like $250,000 for each of us, for each one of us, which is a lot of money in Iran. But essentially, they took all the money. That's how they took all the money. That's the truth. And so the conspiracy is that my aunt, my great aunt or whatever, had my grandfather killed, forgave the person that killed him, took all the money, and then that part of the family has kind of been shunned from our family. But that's a little background. I don't know why I felt the need to go into all that, but I think it's kind of interesting to share because it's a crazy story. But nonetheless, the Shah was in power, and the reason why I say things were good is because you had the opportunity, especially like my grandfather created businesses. There was people making businesses off of what he was doing. Like, there was a thriving culture there. My grandfather had, at the time before the Shah was overthrown, something like a estimated evaluation at that time of $50 million. It's a lot of money, very rich. And then that all gets destroyed. And because when you're a business person and you know how all of this stuff works, when you have what I call the recipe to creating money, that is, you can't take that away from somebody. So he ended up doing it again. He obviously didn't get to the level he was before, but whatever. They killed him and took the money. So let's go back. So then they had the revolution, and that's basically when the Shah collapses. So it's almost like the reason why I'm going through this is because it's like when we go in, we attack, and then if things go sideways, we just go in and do it again and again and again. The issue is, for me, here it says stream talking point. The United States overthrew Iran's democracy in 1953 for oil, installed a dictator who tortured his people for 26 years with CIA-trained secret police. That created the conditions for the 1979 revolution. Now we're bombing the country we destabilized 73 years ago because of a government that only exists because we destroyed the one they elected. That's not ancient history. That's a direct line from Eisenhower to tonight. So how many times are we going to rinse and repeat this mess? That's basically what I'm trying to say here. I want to see what we've got from the chat. Okay, so the votes have flipped. 278 votes. It's close. Do you think that World War III will start as a result of the war from Iran? Yes or no? 54% say yes, 279 votes. Let's get some more in there. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new here. And we talk about some stuff, man. And I'll tell you, the channels, like my channel, is about talking about truth no matter how much friction, okay? Where truth meets friction. That's what Dankster Intel is. And unfortunately, some things are not the easiest to get through and talk about. Let's go back to PVD.
You know what inside the regime, the surviving generals and people this morning are thinking about?
Wow.
Who talked or how did they know?
Mm-hmm.
The Israeli spy network and the American CIA has been incredibly effective over the years infiltrating this. We knew who was in the room. We knew exactly where they were going to be. We knew what was going on. So we didn't just bomb a compound. I think we also bombed trust in each other inside Iran. They're wondering, is the spy network, is the electronic surveillance better for the Americans than the Israelis? And remember, we didn't just bomb. This is the end of a long line that ended with, you will not have nuclear weapons to fire at our...
There's always a reason. That's what's so bothersome, is they will come with whatever reason. Look at this. Okay. Let's go through this here. Iran's government has been taken over 3 major times in the last 100 years. Here's a clean timeline. 1920, it even goes back to the 20s. Reza Khan, later Reza Shah, seizes power in a military coup. He kicks out the weak Qatar dynasty. New Pahlavi monarchy starts. 50s. USA, UK run Operation Ajax that we just talked about. They reinstall full control under the Shah. America gets cheap oil and a Cold War ally. 79. Iranian revolution explodes. People rise up and boot the US-backed Shah, because who wants it's like if they came in, say China comes in and they just bomb all over the US and then remove and kill Trump, and then they put one of their Chinese, or they take an American that's got Chinese interests with Chinese backed operatives running this operation. We're not going to want that, especially if we know it, right? Obviously, chanting death to America becomes official policy. That is their official policy, death to America. Since the 80s, since 79. Since then, 0 successful takeovers. The mullah regime has survived 47 years of protest. Now, Israel, U.S. strikes Operation Epic Fury. Trump and Netanyahu say they bombed to stop Iran's nukes, smash missiles, and spark regime change. They claim this keeps the red line alive. Iran never gets the bomb. What did the USA not do to maintain that reason without war? Pulled out of the 2015 nuclear deal in 2018, Iran then sped up enrichment, hit nuclear sites in June 2025, but only damaged some. Iran rebuilt fast. That's what Grok is saying. Iran talks in Geneva right before the bombs, demanded zero enrichment and full dismantlement. Iran said no way. Talks collapsed. This sounds almost like they're trying to, like Grok sounds like it's trying to carve a narrative. Never backed Iranian protesters hard enough. 2009, 19, 22, 2025, and 26 could have helped the people finish the jobs themselves. That's what he's saying. That's what Grok is saying. If we look here, Iran is retaliating against the U.S. by hitting multiple other Middle Eastern countries where we are based in. That is exactly what's happening, and that is their response. Iran retaliates. On February 28th, Iran launched coordinated missile and drone attacks at U.S. military bases and U.S.-linked sites in West Asia. They keep saying, oh, they bombed all these different countries, but they're attacking the U.S., and that is their mission, is to have some retaliation against what's happening. But I don't believe that they have any strength to reach us. So the whole point is, one, yes, I think it's important that they don't have this regime there killing innocent people, but it's not our fucking business, is what I'm trying to say. Like, it's Israel's interest. And Tucker has said it many times. What does Israel bring to the table? All those other countries around the Middle East, they have oil, they have money, they have military, they have people that are reasonable and that are at least bringing something to the table. But for some reason, this small country is being backed by us so heavily. And it's, in my opinion, what I think is happening is that we are using Israel as our excuse to attack all the countries that they don't like in favor of the U.S. so that we can install an American regime in the Middle East through Israel. What I've read is that Israel is actually founded by the Rothschilds and funded by the Rothschilds, and through that, Americans are involved because the Rothschilds are also involved in America. American politics, Israeli politics, foreign interests of all of this stuff happening over in the Middle East. Shout out to Severe. Hey, what's up, bro? I saw you sending me a text. We got Severe in the chat. Good to see you, bro. Thanks for the super chat. Hit the like, danksters and danksterettes. Thank you for the super facts. Mark Stone says, exactly, Danks, not American regime, it's an Israeli regime. I think that's where we're getting confused. Is I think they're using Israel as the excuse, but there might be more here that we don't understand quite, because it feels like they are an extension of the U.S. Now, it might seem like they're extending themselves over to us and controlling us. Maybe that those optics are on purpose. I just don't understand why. Instead of, do you know that it would cost $20 billion to solve homelessness in the United States and get all the veterans off the streets? $20 billion. Yet we sent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions to a foreign country to build that up. Now, all this rhetoric about defending Israel, and I don't want any country to undergo attacks from anybody else. However, if our country is not up to 100% plus, like the charge will not, like you could unplug the phone and 100% will stay there for the next decade, then maybe we can go and help. But there's a bigger agenda here that we aren't seeing.
Ourselves or innocent countries or Israel. That was the red line.
Vinny.
I mean, listen.
And let me know if the audio, I turned it down a little bit. It was kind of loud for me, but just let me know if the audio is okay on this.
I'm going to play both sides of it because you already know what's going to be happening. I can imagine what's in the chat. Israel this, you guys are Israel that. Let's play both sides. Has Bibi Netanyahu been on camera in Congress and on every interview saying Iran has a bomb? Iran trying to push us to go to war? Absolutely yes. Okay. Has Iran said death to America over and over? And I want people to understand this. That statement isn't, hey, death to Patrick or death to Vinny or death to everybody in Florida or death to everybody in California. Death to America, meaning I hope every single one of you dies, and including your country. I hope it gets wiped off the planet. So two things.
Okay. They're not the only ones. All right. They're not the only ones. So not only them, we have Yemen frequently chanted in Houthi rallies and official statements against the U.S., support for Israel, Saudi Arabia ongoing. So I said, who's screaming death to America besides Iran? Death to America, Yemen, Lebanon, Iraq, Afghanistan. This is all of recent 2026. Yemen, used in protest by Hezbollah leaders, especially during coups. Iraq, after we've been there and lost how many lives and spent how many billions, if not trillions, all in up to 2026. Afghanistan. Have you guys seen? There's this dude named Arab. He's a YouTuber. He went and hung out with the Taliban in Afghanistan to see. It was very interesting because we are fed a lot of propaganda, and I obviously I'm not in favor of any radical religious organization overtaking some country and giving some, rhetoric about death to America. However, I feel like it's pushed out. This propaganda is pushed out to us, one specific country. Why not target Yemen or Lebanon or Iraq again? Afghanistan, Pakistan, Syria, historically under Assad's regime. Now, if you haven't seen, Syria has been completely overthrown. It's a mess. I don't know what it looks like today, but it's a mess. Let's get back to this right here.
Things exist. I'm just curious, all the people that are going after Israel, and everybody knows I'm critical towards Israel's actions as a government, has nothing to do with the Jewish people. This movement that happened, Pat, the revolution, did Israel go in there and make the people revolt and get angry and fight for their freedom? Who did that? That was organic by the people. Israel had nothing to do with it. The people were in the streets. Over 40,000 are dead. God knows how many are in jail right now getting tortured or are also dead. But look at Iran as a people, as the nation, as the regime. Think about it. Their money's gone. The country's ruined. I already know. I know for a fact. Okay, let me stop. I'm sorry because I'm going a little bit ahead of myself. Think about Masha Amini.
You're good.
Remember Masha Amini a couple years ago, 2021, I believe? Her hijab, think about this, all you leftist liberal psycho-feminists out there. Her hijab showed a little bit of her hair, and they beat her to death. They beat her to death, and there was silence. Nobody was saying anything, okay? This type of...
You want to go potty? No? Potty? Here, let me take them out real quick. I'll be right back.
This type of liberation that I hope happens is for those type of people. That girl, her freaking soul and her life not to be in shame or in vain. You know what I mean? It has to. Sometimes you don't want to do it. I know Trump ran on, no new wars, no new wars. When you're backed into a corner and you have to do it, you have to do it. No, what American wakes up and goes, I want to go to war. Let's go to war. And I guarantee today, all these podcasters, all these guys in their basement that are expert geopolitical people are going to say, we told you so, and this, and Israel, and everybody, shut up, okay? Because people are dancing in the street. Can you show this clip, Robbie? You tell me how bad it is that this is happening in Iran. This is a high school. What's he saying?
Zadan, they hit him.
And look at the smoke in the background. Yeah. These people aren't running for cover. They're dancing.
Yeah.
We told them that we would back them up. Trump said, I will back you up. 30 to 40,000 of them ran
listen
out
what
in the
he said,
streets.
Tom. Listen to what he said, Tom. You can't hear what he said. Go back.
Okay. No doubt that this is happening. Like I showed you from the text from my own father. They want this to be the case. Okay. But how much money and at what cost of Americans is this going to leave us at? At what cost, right? Is it at cost of another war, a World War III? Is it at cost of billions of dollars? Well, yes, in fact, it is. All right. So let me give you a full breakdown. I'm gonna actually do this. Here, I'll play this out while I type this up.
Went off, and it probably hit like a major.
You see the smoke behind the school.
IRGC. They're not screaming. He's not running. I got goosebumps, Pat. They're cheering.
Me too.
Thank you. I love you, Trump. So for all of these people that are going to be in their basements getting angry, yelling with their little hats on their tables, and everybody knows who I'm talking about, shut up. The people need it. This isn't Iraq. We didn't bomb and start on CNN, have all the tanks and all the troops going in. Unless you're there, unless you're like him and had his family, that he had to flee there and I'm not going to get into all the problems that we have that we can't, pack doors and we're worrying about stuff. He had to hide under tables and shit because they were bombing him and they had to flee. So for everybody that's going to sit there and try to act like they know what the hell they're talking about behind their computers, shut the hell up. The people are happy. That's all that matters. That's it.
Yeah. So to me, here's the one concern that I have on what could happen.
Okay. Now let's watch what you. Yes, that's happening. But when you come and you see kids getting destroyed, it's so sad, man. It's so sad. This is the issue with church and state. Okay. The left can't just be a church, or their other side can't be their religion, but they are so religiously encapsulated in this religious government that they haven't tried to. If you're going to overthrow, then do it the right way from the first time, but they're not going to do it the right way. They're not like, we shouldn't. There's so many things that I want to say, but we need to take care of ourselves here at home first. And I'll try to catch up with the chat. By the way, we're on Rumble and we're on X right now. I know that there's 15 people watching on Rumble. Make sure you follow on Rumble and X, Dankster Intel as well. I'm watching the chat there, so if anybody's in there, I'll see you. So this is from Iran military, and it's a monitor of Iran military. So they said, with the destruction of America's strategic radars in the region, the path has been opened for the launch of very heavy missiles. This is from the Iranian military. Footage of a large-scale fire that broke out in a building in Tel Aviv. So they're attacking Tel Aviv. Let's see what else we got. With the destruction, okay, so this is hour by hour. More than 50 targets in the Israeli regime have been successfully hit. So they don't want to show us the things that are happening on behalf of our actions, okay? They're not showing us what's happening on behalf of our actions. We've got NATO bases in Qatar being hit, and Kuwait were hit with human casualties, a high amount of casualties. We aren't hearing that. We're just hearing, we're just doing a great job bombing and just, we're not hearing the truth. Our actions have repercussions, and we're watching it unfold, but they don't give us everything, okay? This little 9,000 person account is not just going to spread random propaganda. What is this going to take us to? Let's see what's going on in their Instagram. Latest military news. When was this? So remember the smiles of Gaza and Lebanon's youth at the sight of Iranian missiles. Those days are coming back soon. So Iran is saying, like, hey, man, we're going to come and attack. So then this is going to throw us into, they're calling it a war. They're using the word war on purpose because they're preparing us psychologically for what's coming. Let me show you this graphic that I have here. One second, let me load it up. This is a graphic of the money timeline. So let's show this graphic. Okay. Forever wars. The cost of forever wars, what America spent, what America got. $8+ trillion total war spending since 9/11 from the from the 1953 CIA coup in Iran to Operation Epic Fury. Okay, so check this out, by the way. Remember Ian, if you put a 1 in the chat if you watched Ian's live stream last night. I'll wait for a minute because I want to explain something. Put a 1 in the chat if you've seen Ian Carroll's live stream from last night about AI. And what he's saying, and I'm going to show you an example, a very clear example of what he's talking about. So as I'm talking, keep putting a 1 in the chat. I want to know who's seen, if you guys have seen it, because I need to see. And this might lead us into that. As I'm talking and looking at videos, and you might hear me go silent for a second, and I'm like typing, and I'm like, whatever. He's basically saying, like, I can do all of these things. I've been doing this stuff from the beginning for a while, years now. But it's gotten so good. AI has gotten so good that I literally took 10 seconds. I said, what? I didn't even spell it right. This is what I said. Check this out. This is what I said. Because I'm going to start getting into this conversation. I said, create an HTML graphic showing exactly how much money has been spent in wars and how much it does not benefit the taxpayers to get involved in Iran. Gas, oil hasn't gone down. We kept spending and giving money away to foreign countries and attacking them, include Iraq, Afghanistan, now Iran again. I want to see the money and the timelines from all the history to today. Boom. Full scrollable infographic covering 1953 to tonight, timeline of every intervention, and then it did it in no time. And now look at what we have. This is an example of what Ian was trying to tell you guys last night, okay? Just so you know. Where did my graphic go? It's here somewhere. Where is it? Oh, here it is. So that's how easy it is. Do you see what I'm saying? To give you an idea. So if you know, if you have the tools and you're paying for them, I paid $200 a month for Claude, and I don't code with Claude Code. I use other things to vibe code, because although I've learned to code, there's no way that somebody can code businesses every single day without AI. It's impossible. Coders that I'm not, when it comes to coders, you have to get on the board. So I understand what Ian is saying. We're not going to go there yet, because I do want to look at some of the OpenClaw stuff and as well, if I have time. But this is the money that's being spent in the years of intervention, okay? You've got the regime change. In 79, you've got a revolution. 80 to 88, Iran-Iraq war. Used arms on both sides. $40 billion. 91, $102 billion in the Gulf War. U.S. invaded Iraq to remove Saddam from Kuwait. The same Saddam the U.S. armed in the 80s, coalition funded largely by Saudi Arabia and Kuwait, left Saddam in power. Sanctions killed an estimated 500,000 Iraqi children over the next decade. Starting a war like this can be devastating on human life. I'm telling you. Oh, we got some super chats. I didn't see that. That was severe. Christy Hughes for the $5. Thanks for bringing this to the surface. History always repeats. That's what I'm trying to bring to the surface, is showing you the history, the timeline, the money. What happens after these things? Because we can see from the history, does this work? And why don't we change the way we approach? If we have no say, then why not do it differently? Is it because they just want infinite war that creates this funding coming out of nowhere just to fund all of these military operations? Of course, that's probably part of it. You got Venezuela. They're talking about taking Greenland. They're like, boom, let's get Iran. This takes money, takes taxpayer money. Did you not see that Trump just increased the budget by $500 billion? Let me find it. Let me see if I have it in the news here. Trump calls for record 1.5. This was, when was this? January 27th. This came out 1/7, so January 7th. Trump calls for record $1.5 trillion defense budget, a 50% jump, $500 billion increase. Thank you for the super chat, Christy. Good to see you. More memberships. You've got 10 memberships gifted so far from Keats. Thank you, bro. Thank you again, Christy. Good to see you. Keats, always good to see you. I'm glad that you're here. President Donald Trump on Wednesday declared he would ask Congress for $1.5 trillion defense budget in 2027. Okay, so let's do this. Let's go to Google. Where does this money come from? AI mode. The proposed $1.5 trillion defense budget is funded through a mix of base discretionary appropriations, $150 to $156 billion reconciliation bill, the one big beautiful bill, and deep cuts to non-defense agencies. Do Americans fund this? Yes, Americans fund this budget through two primary channels: taxes and national debt. The majority of federal revenue comes from individual income taxes and payroll taxes paid by Americans. Paid by Americans. Okay. So they're going to go ahead and just add to this. That's what they're doing. So add to this. Whether or not you have any debt, you're lumped into this category. Debt per taxpayer, $355,000. There's 350 million people in this country. Think about that. So indirect funding national debt. When tax revenue isn't enough to cover total federal spending, the government borrows money by selling. It's so frustrating because they just take us further and further into debt. Go buy gold. I wish I never sold my gold. I had a safe, a full 2 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot safe. It was filled with gold and silver. When I spent all my money from the crypto gains that I made, I wanted to travel the world, and I sold $80,000 worth of gold, $20,000 worth of silver. I fucked up bad. I made money. I bought it at like $1,600 and I sold it at like $2,400. So stupid. And then almost less than a year later, it just like doubles, triples, whatever. So now I still have some silver, but I want to get more because there was a good point that was made. Who made it? Who made it this morning? I was watching. Let me find this. That was actually really good. Let me see if I can find it. So when we're talking about the money here, when people start to step away from how much our value of our dollar is, that's when we start to find major issues. Okay. Who was it that said it? Was it on PBD podcast? Who was I listening to? I was only listening to him this morning.
If you're Iran, so two positions, US, Iran. If you're US, you have to immediately get everybody. Immediately get all the leaders. Like if you look at the names of people they got, Rob, there's a picture that I sent you. If you look at all the people that he eliminated here, if you look at this here, Vinny, we remember all these faces, one by one by one by one by one. Qassem Soleimani. Who's the only person that's missing in this picture that says eliminated?
So you're going to go and destroy a whole country to take out one person or a group? Yeah, I understand. Again, the Ayatollah is more than just one person. But the reason, in my opinion, why they're doing it in this way by dropping bombs is because you can't just go in and ground level attack. I made a post actually about it. What did I say? I said, this right here. I said, this is not a liberation of the Iranian people, although technically it probably is if they're successful. But This is an attack on the innocent. The reason bombs are dropped is because Iran is not an easy country to just go in and land and invade. It is a treacherous mountain terrain. I pray for those that are innocent. I'm not saying that the evil doesn't exist there, but I am saying this is not how you extract evil from a land. And then I show this picture. The destroyed building is a primary school for girls in the south of Iran. It was bombed in broad daylight when packed with young pupils. Dozens of innocent children have been, I mean, that's crazy, bro. That's crazy. This one was posted by Gen X girl. She said, vote them all out. F these warmongering a-holes in the election they rode in on. Donald Trump, track AIPAC, president of the U.S., $230 million independent expenditures. John Thune, $461,000 received. This is from track AIPAC. And if we go and look, I mean, I've only tracked on AFNPT how much money? Just 126 million. But here I have the people that have been paid, top donors as well. Do you know the top donor of AIPAC is the owner of WhatsApp? It's not Miriam Adelson. It's the owner of WhatsApp. I deleted that app from my phone. So, I mean, you can see all these people that are donating. These are the donors, where the money goes. Bowman versus Latimer. They spent $14 million against Bowman. They spent $8.5 million to support Bell. They're literally using this money from AIPAC to push lobbying of a certain politician that doesn't have the cause of Boston. This is where Andy Levin, I mean, the money is just endless for them. And then if you go to afnpt.org or americansfortransparency.org, you can see this. The whole reason I even built this site is to show you what the money is, what they're doing here. I added all this other stuff, but originally it was self-dealing, Turning Point USA, PJTN, showing that they are funding operations against Americans by doing GEO optimization, by manipulating the AI, but they all have their specific agendas. There's one company doing advocacy and congressional outreach. There's another company targeting communications. There's another company that targets that geofences churches. They all work together. Clock Tower LLC is the one that does AI SEO manipulation through the geofencing. So this is a full-blown attack on American soil through government and spending of nonprofit and for-profit entities. Something I learned last night. Who is on the board of Clock Tower X LLC? If you've been finding my content and checking it out, Clock Tower X LLC is a company that is doing AI manipulation. So if you go to a geofence location, they then they get into your AI. So if the pastor is using AI, or if you're using AI, they manipulate your AI. This is a broad scale. So when people say, does Boston have this massive outreach from these small minority group? Yes, absolutely. They are taking over the media. They are controlling the media. Brad Parscale was a Trump campaign manager, and he's a registered foreign agent. Okay? He worked with Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk's Americans for America's Turning Point gave $1 million, almost $999,000, to another company called Clock Tower LLC that dissolved. They just took that money, and they just said it was for research. You all know the story. If not, you need to go watch my videos. But I heard, and I'm not sure if this is true or not, but I heard that Trump Jr. is on the board of this Clock Tower LLC. Clock Tower X LLC website. This is getting a little off topic from the war here, but they do not currently maintain a public-facing corporate website. Instead, the company primarily operates through professional networking and official registrations. You can find their presence on LinkedIn. Clock Tower X. Clock Tower X is the creative engine behind some of today's most powerful political and cultural campaigns, from digital storytelling to campaign creative. We move fast, think differently, and deliver real results. Public relations and communication services. So obviously you can see that there's a whole agenda behind everything that's happening. Let's see what Cenk has to say.
We're at war. Israel and America have attacked Iran. The war has begun. It's Friday night here in Los Angeles, early morning in New York, and around 2 in the morning.
You can tell he's just devastated, man. He's devastated. Voting just confirms to them you are fooled, just as they intended you to always be. Voting is not going to get us out of this, guys. Voting is not going to get us out of it. The whole system is rigged. It's all rigged. It's all rigged. I'm sorry. It's true. Voting will not get us out of it. It's all rigged.
And in Iran, obviously, it's later in the day. People were expecting the strikes around now, but a little bit earlier, because you would have expected that it would have come more during nighttime. So it's a little bit later than people expected, but people did expect that it might be today. The bombs have landed near where Ayatollah Ali Khamenei.
So let's look through this real quick. This is the money that's being spent. Trillions in Afghanistan. It started in Gulf War, 90 to 91. 2.3 trillion in Afghanistan. 2.89 trillion in Iraq. That was 20 years, 2 decades. Syria and ISIS, 170 billion. Israel and Gaza, 30 plus billion. How many billions and trillions will come out of this strike on Iran? Where your money went? 8 trillion funded entirely through debt. Remember what I showed you. Americans fund this through 2 channels, taxes and national debt. Indirect funding. If the government spends more than it collects in a year, the gap is filled by adding national debt. Americans also pay for this through future taxes used to service the interest of that debt, which in 2024 actually surpassed the total amount spent on the military for the first time. They're not doing anything to cut. They're only expanding. That's a major issue. What 8 trillion could have built? Everything. Free college for Americans for 50 years. Every American. Universal health care for a decade. Complete rebuild of every bridge, road, and water system in this country. Eliminate all student loan debt 5 times over. Defense contractor profits. 2020 to 2024. $2.4 trillion. Thank you for the super chat. $2.4 trillion, 54% of every discretionary dollar went to private defense companies. Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Boeing, Northrop Grumman. War is a business. Business is booming. Okay. They all hold stock in these companies. That's why they want our money going into those companies so they can get gains on their stocks. Let's take a quick side check here. Let's go to Webull. Actually, let's just go to Yahoo Finance, Yahoo. And let's take a look. Stock chart, Boeing. Look at this today. I mean, it's been coming down like year to date. It went up and went down. Now it's about to skyrocket. But look at Max. From 85, if we correlate this, we look at the full chart. And if we were to, let's separate this. I have an idea that we're going to do here. We're going to arrange, separate. We're going to bring this over here, and we're going to combine these two now. Okay, let's go back to the wars, and let's look at these companies like Boeing. I think Boeing is probably one of the larger ones. So starting in the 80s. So let's go back to, well, let's just go back, I guess. Let's go here. Let's go here. I just changed it. Hold on. Let me switch the view. Close left view. Combine this. Okay. Now, we'll just zoom in here on this. Okay. All right. So in 85, so 80 to 88, Boeing comes out and their stock goes up. This is 1990. So 91, and they're just steadily increasing. Now, this is 95 to 99, 2000. Okay. They go up from $20. They probably even had a stock split to $50. And they just keep increasing. And it goes line in line with this. From 90 to 2021. So let's go from 90, which was $29 a stock, 4 splits. Look at where we're at in 2007. You have 2 things happening at the same time. Afghanistan, you have Iraq. Right here in 2003 to 2008, the peak of that. All right, because 2001, I believe it was 2001 is when we had the September 11th. Thank you for the super chat, Carol. I appreciate you. Great foundation info. Full drink, half thinking. I know your channel. I've seen your channel. What's up, bro? $10. This doesn't look like the official start to World War III. It doesn't look like a good precursor throw. Dankster, what up? Stay the course, bro. Side note, I used your vid the other day for my live stream. Cool, man. Appreciate you. I've seen your channel before. I haven't been a regular watcher, but I'll go check it out. All good. Anybody wants to use my content, just please put my link in the description. That's all I care about. But yeah, I think the information that we put out here on this channel is important. I think that we need to continue to stay the course. Like you said, I will. And I'm going to cover a lot of different things. I started with what is popular in the niche that I happen to be in and the people that I know. But there's a lot of other things that I want to talk about. And I will be doing that. As you can see today, this is definitely not what I've been talking about on my channel. But I like to go into the history and the money and what's actually going on in this country and how things are, how things were and how they are and what's happening as a result of the past, and can things be changed? Why aren't we changing that? I mean, there's so many questions that need to be asked. And Ian Carroll last night, he said, we have a lot more power than I think we believe as individual citizens. We might not feel like it, but believe me, if we stopped paying taxes, they would get to it real quick. Oh, my bad. What do you want? If everyone just stopped, and I'm just saying, if everyone just stopped completely. There's a video. I'm going to be hopping around a lot here. There's a video. Let me see if I can find it. Where Jim Brewer, if I can find it, that'd be great. That would be so great. Okay, here we go. This one looks
How
like...
do you stop this whole system? What drives it? Money. Don't pay taxes.
I don't know if that audio is going to get me struck here. Let me find it. Hold on. Thank you for the super chat. I'll go check your channel out. I appreciate you, bro. Good to know you're here. How do we stop this? I mean, damn it. I wish that I mean, maybe I could speed it up.
How do you stop this whole?
Can I speed this up so I don't get copyright? Maybe not. Audio track. I guess not, maybe. I get worried about copyrights. I got to be careful. I know that somebody recently... Here, we'll just see if we can find here what he says.
School, in my opinion, was simply set up to program your entire existence. Forced where it shouldn't be.
And That sucks. I want to find it because he did a really good skit on it. And it was pretty to the point. But essentially, he was saying, like, how do we stop this? If we all stop paying, we would get right to it.
How do you stop this whole system? What drives it? Money. Don't pay taxes. Don't pay taxes. Watch how fast every politician be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Why do we pay taxes? To send money to the I country? To send money to other countries? Why are we going to pay taxes? What can we do, Jim? What can we do? Stop paying taxes. They take our money. They laugh in your face. They give it to others. They create war. They create chaos. We're infiltrated. So we got to take care of one another. Forget your left, right. Forget your Republican, Democrat. Forget all that. Start taking care of one another and look at the real bad guys. The real bad guys are the ones causing all this. How do you stop this?
I was watching something the other day. Let me see if I can find it. Man, he is just so good, bro. He is so good. Every time I watch him, I'm just like, wow, this guy. He is so on point. Let me go to his channel real quick. I even time marked some of the things that he was saying because, man, what he says is so spot on. It's just crazy. Let me find this real quick. They're dividing us. And I played it the other day.
It all comes down to this. No one's here to help you. No one's here to help you. They're not here to help you. You know, we're sitting here in Florida. My friend Greg, he gets riled up. He'll send me videos. Listen, the skies are getting sprayed every day, and he'll sit there, right? He'll send the emoji going, spraying again, and they are every day. And all the people that don't believe it and they go, oh, they're contrails. Okay, sure, they're contrails. Whatever you want to call them. Every day. I mean, I know someone tonight whose child told them, you can't see my children if you go see this movie or you voted for someone. This is what has infiltrated our nation. Do you understand this? We are infiltrated. We are controlled by outside entities, by outside countries. And the minute you understand that, you'll realize the enemies are not who you're staring at. They're from different areas. They got us. You're not talking to your children and your friends. I have some friendships that I've...
So, I mean, what he's saying is that it's all a big psyop, essentially. It's a control vector. It's a manipulation vector. It's a way to keep people from just being ourselves and having our own beliefs and being in a America working together. They want to divide so that they can come conquer. They want to divide and make us feel like we have no choice. But ultimately, and where I'm heading back to is we do have a choice, because if we stop voting for that side or voting in general, if no votes came in, how are they going to be? So they would just make all the decisions. Then it would be very obvious, because if no votes came in, the same agenda gets pushed anyways, then we would all see. So if nobody voted and nobody paid taxes, what do you think would happen? That's the only way to fix it. Or overthrow, which I'm not a fan of. Our life would be terrible if we went into some tyrannical challenge on the government. I don't think that what's happening here warrants that type of approach. But there has to be some sort of response when the government is just not taking care of American people and instead taking care of other countries. They went and they took the money, they took the oil from Venezuela. They've taken the oil from Iraq. They've taken the oil and done all of these different things from all these other countries. But our gas continues to go up and up and up and up. I went to the casino the other day to get gas. Usually it's cheap. It was like $2.98 right when Venezuela happened. Then all of a sudden it went right back up to $4.80. So what is happening here? We don't see any of the benefits. That's the issue that I have. We don't see the benefits. And even if we did, it doesn't make it right. And we have plenty of oil here anyways. Texas, Alaska, all over the country. This is just another excuse to go and do all of these things. As I learn more about what's happening in the political landscape, as I learn more about what we're doing and how things are being handled, I can see that we don't benefit despite what they tell us.
Khamenei normally lives, that neighborhood that he lives in, clouds of smoke there, and it appears to be a joint operation. Israel's minister, Israel Katz, he is their defense minister, has declared a state of emergency in Israel. Well, I guess when you start a war, you should be in a state of emergency. 3 massive explosions heard in central Tehran, the capital of Iran. They come on a Saturday morning, which is actually the first day of the week in Iran, and millions of people are at work, and the kids are in school. There is reports of panic and chaos in Tehran. Obviously, their capital has been bombed here. Smoke rising from the district where the presidential palace and the National Security Council are located.
So we all know this, right? So let's go back and look at how much money is being spent and what could have benefited instead of that money going to foreign wars. That money comes directly from our pocket. If you are a tax-paying American citizen, if you are, which we all are, if you go to the store, it's not just income tax. It's income tax on businesses as well. So if you go to Walmart and you buy a Snickers bar and you have to pay an extra 20 cents, which is kind of crazy. The sticker bar is like $2.89 now, which is outrageous, by the way. I ordered pizza last night, a salad, and a soup for my family, and it was $80. $80 fucking dollars with a $5 tip on delivery. I would tip more if it was reasonable. Nothing is reasonable anymore. Nothing is benefit. What I'm trying to say is we are not benefiting from these trillions of dollars that we are spending. How are we benefiting? We have the best military in the country. If anybody comes and messes with us, we would be able to defend that. But instead, they use our money to go and invade other countries. It's crazy, man. The spending stack: Afghanistan, 2.3 trillion. Iraq, Syria, 2.9 trillion. All the meanwhile, they're getting richer. Okay, they're getting richer. Let's look at what other company is. Palantir, I guess, is newer. Look at like Nvidia is a good one. They're being reevaluated, but look, they're part of this military operation. AI. Look at this. They grew such a massive amount. They had a slight pullback, but they're worth trillions. Not just Boeing. What about Booz Allen? Look at Booz Allen. Same thing. They're getting richer. These are military companies. The market cap is $9.51 billion. Let me look at that. What was the market cap of Booz Allen in 1995? Oh, it wasn't public then. 2005. It's not available. Well, it just keeps giving me that. I mean, we could look on TradingView, but I'm not going to take us there. But essentially, you can see they're just getting richer, right? Trillions of dollars, but at least gas is cheap, right? U.S. national average gas prices during and each after major military intervention. Pre 9/11 2000, $1.51 average in the United States for the gas. Before Afghanistan and Iraq invasion, $1.59 will be greeted as liberators. Peak Iraq, $4.11, up 172% from pre-war. Post October 7th, $3.50 pre-war. Every military intervention in the Middle East was sold as protecting energy security and American interest. Gas prices have never gone down as a result of any U.S. war in the Middle East. Not once, not ever. The oil companies profit, the defense contractors profit, you pay more at the pump and more in taxes. Jobs created per $1 million spent. Military spending is the least efficient job creator of any public investment. Brown University. 5, military spending. Fewest jobs per dollar of any category. So for every $1 million spent, 5 jobs were created in the military. Infrastructure and clean energy, 7 to 8. Healthcare, 9. 80% more jobs in military, which is healthcare. Does that tell you something? If 80%, almost double the amount of positions are in healthcare, there's an explanation for that. Education, 160% more jobs than military. The U.S. overthrew Iran's democracy in 1953, armed Saddam in the 80s, invaded Iraq in 2003, spent $8 trillion. We lost 7,000 plus troops. Gas went up, debt went up. Nothing got better. Now they want to do it again. 38 trillion is our current national debt, $1 trillion a year in interest alone. War spending is a major driver. 0 times of U.S. Middle East war has lowered gas prices, reduced the deficit, or made Americans safer. 0 congressional votes authorizing Operation Epic Fury. No war powers resolution. No debate, no consent. Thomas Massey made this post. He said, I am opposed to this war. This is not America first. When Congress reconvenes, I will work with Koana, Representative Rokana, to force a congressional vote on war with Iran. The Constitution requires a vote, and your representative needs to be on record as opposing or supporting this war. This is why we don't notify Congress about future military operations. How about nope? So there's a massive divide. I'm an Iranian. Let's see what this guy says. I'm Iranian American. 98% of us are thankful to President Trump. This is the D-Day. Yes, fine. Fine. Of course you're thankful. We're overthrowing a government for you. But that's not what we are here for. We should be here paying for our taxes for our country. That's why we should be here doing, not to go and liberate and then overthrow governments and go to Venezuela and do all. Like, how has this become normal? Look at this. And then he goes to find out where this account is at. I am an Iranian American. Look at where the account is based. Like, dude, shameless. To me, it's just insane. It's just insane. I can't even believe the stuff that we're seeing. I have about 45 minutes. If you want us to go, you want to go to the, you want to cover a little bit about, put a 1 if you want me to move on to the AI stuff. Don't say anything if you want me to stay on the war stuff. Let me show you what Ryan Maddow. What a 1 if you want to talk about the AI stuff from Ian's show last night. If not, I'll stick on to the war in Iran. Ryan Maddow. You guys can see that, right? I'd be interested to see what he says there. 111. There's a lot of ones. Okay, I got like 45 to an hour that we can do it. Maybe, yeah, about an hour. A lot of people want to see that. Let's watch every promise this man ever made to the American people. Just keep putting a 1 if you want to see how many. We've only got a few. There's 470 people watching across both platforms. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe and follow if you haven't already. I want to see what Ryan Maddow said.
Forced to send in our military. We would automatically assume that if the United States is being forced to send in our military troops to go die over in Israel, that all of the able-bodied men in Israel have been drafted. That's what you would assume. You would assume they've been planning this for at least multiple years. So all men under the age of 50 should have assault rifles and be on the front lines, because we should just be providing the backup, right? If they can't handle it, if they can't survive, then maybe we send in our sons and daughters. But no, that's not what's happening. The video you're watching here on the screen is all of the Israeli settlers and all of the Israeli citizens in bunkers. Yep. At first you thought it was just the women, didn't you? That's what I thought too. Oh no, it's all of the men. Our sons and daughters are cannon fodder. They're gonna.
So I mean, he's saying like, why is it just us? Every American who comes home in a body bag, this blood is on Trump's hands. Very divided. Very divided. So you guys want to go into the Ian stuff? We can do that. What's up with the chat over? There's one person in the chat. I feel bad for the rumblers. We'll grow. Don't worry, rumblers. Let's go to Ian. We'll shift gears a little bit. So I'll show you the clip that
version of this is sort of have this thing. And unless you literally don't interact with the internet and with computers at all.
So what Ian is basically saying is the AI culture is so strong right now that it is inevitable that many jobs are going to be taken, if not all of the digital ones, all of the human resource ones, all of the administration stuff, all of the coding jobs. And I got to say, I work with AI all day, every day. I've been doing it for years. The person, Ukrainian cat, who became a member earlier, if you were here early in the live stream, he had actually put me on way back then, it's almost 3 years ago now, to start working with AI. And before even he did, I started using ChatGPT the very first day it came out to code. I'll give you a quick story. So I never took any coding classes. I always would, well, that's not true. I would pay for these cheap classes or find cheap ones on the internet, and I would teach myself how to code. I would maybe learn how to do a calculator, but I would get very frustrated. And then I ended up ultimately, when ChatGPT first came out, I had it build a course for me so I could understand coding, and it wasn't like it is today. There was no vibe coding. That didn't come out until about a year ago. But this whole time, I was slowly learning how to do things, what everything meant. All right. So I understood the foundation. Hey, look, it's AWC Kurt in the chat on Ian. I see him right here. He's one of our mods. But it exploded. And as I was able to build courses for myself and understand how this stuff works, then there were programs that would help code for you. And it just exploded the ability to do things with code. So what he's saying is, if you're not involved in one of these levels, moving past let me search something up in ChatGPT, you're essentially selling yourself short by not getting involved in what coding with AI can deliver. Because as you can see, I'm not even using a coding software. I'm just using Claude, and I can put together an entire live stream with graphics and do all of this stuff with a short half of a paragraph. If I can find the timeline of when he was saying specifically what I thought was interesting. We got a super chat here. Christy Hughes, hey, good to see you again. I was in Saudi Arabia in 1979. My father worked for Aramco. It was scary. So they sent all American contractors back home, and I'm scared now. Yeah. That's interesting. You know, we're involving ourselves in all of these countries in the Middle East, and it's scary because they've got rocket launch. You've got civilians that are radicals with rocket launch. It's not just Iran. This regime is spread all throughout the Middle East. You can't eradicate radicalism from isolating one country, because they're spread throughout the entire Middle East. And there's different factions. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of different radical Middle Eastern factions of Muslims, of Islamists, of whatever, Ayatollah, different versions. There's like hundreds of Ayatollah different groups. So it's silly to even think that we're going to be able to stop this radical government, because you can't. That's why it continues to become what's called a forever war. It started in the 80s and it has not stopped. There was a clip. Maybe I shared it in Discord. I did, because I want to show this. It was here. This is it. Let me share this real quick. Sorry, it's going to be hard for me to get. I might have to do a different stream on the AI stuff. I really might. Thank you for the super chat, and I hope that everything's okay with your father. But it sounds like he came back. Thank you again. And Christy, prayers to your family that was robbed. I appreciate it. Yeah. It's all good. We make our own life, right?
So China has just sent a message to America. This is very important because the world's waking up and they're seeing exactly what we, the American people, are seeing. Check out this tweet. The United States is a war addict. Throughout its 240-year history, it has been at war for...
I want to take a screenshot. Oh, actually, I don't.
The United States is a war addict. Throughout its 240-year history, it has been at war for all but of 16 years. The U.S. has over 800 overseas military bases in 80 different countries and regions. The U.S. is the main cause of international disorder, global turbulence, and regional instability. I mean, that's just fucking crazy to think about. The United States government has been at war all over the world. In the last 240 years, we have only not been at war for 16 years. 16 years out of our country's entire existence. We have 80 military bases all around the world, and we're supposed to be keeping the world safe. We have created more chaos, death, and destruction than any country in all of human history. And it is time that the rest of the world decouple from the United States. This is what we've been warning you about. We've been telling you to relentlessly stack Bitcoin. We've been telling you to get out of the US
dollar.
The
problem with Bitcoin is that it's attached to the dollar. I put out an announcement in my Discord today, and I said, buy gold, buy silver, not crypto. You can buy XRP, you can buy Bitcoin, but it's attached to the dollar. Every Bitcoin chart is USD, okay? USDT, USDC, BTC. Look at it. There's not any to gold. It's Bitcoin to US dollar, to US dollar, to US dollar, to US dollar, to US dollar. Futures contracts, US dollar. So unless you reevaluate it against gold, then what happens? It just goes way up. Is that how it works? It doesn't work that way. How are you going to reevaluate? Man, I'm so glad I got out of Caspa. Look at this. This is a mess. This is one of the most money I ever made in crypto. One of. Oops. There's this coin called Caspa. Everyone's trying to say it was going to. I bought it down here at 2.3. It's like between 1.8 and 2.3. And I bought more at 4 cents, 4.5 cents, 3 cents. And I got out at 21 cents and 18 cents twice. Crushed it. Well, everyone in my Discord back then when I was in crypto was, you're an idiot. Da, 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 da. I'm like, you guys are paying me. If you don't want to listen to me, then fine. What happened? It never went back up again. Because Casp was full of shit. Yeah. There's a whole thing here that we could get into. Look at these coins, man. Sui got in at 30 cents. I bought the pre-sale at $1.30, sold it because it went down. I bought it at 30 cents. I'm sorry. Whatever. None of this matters, but made a bunch of money on this. My cousin made a lot more. He held on. I got out at like $2 from 40 cents or something. Man, there's a whole thing here. I haven't even looked at these prices. Bitcoin. If Bitcoin was going to help stabilize, you would see, oh my gosh, I marked this. This is where we are headed first. I marked this. God knows. I wish I could have dated it. I wish I dated it. I said, this is where we are headed first. And it went under. I did 74K. I'm too good, man. Too good. Got out. All of these I got out. I'm just too good when it comes to this shit. But I spent all my money like an idiot. Virtual, we crushed it. Yeah, whatever. This isn't the stream for that, but we got in here on this, sold it. I mean, so many plays. Anyways, Kita. Look at these crypto, man. Crypto is not going to save you, bro. It's not going to save anyone. We look at XRP. I only bring this up because I mentioned what buying crypto can do. What I've heard is that there's some financial reset coming along. Could this be the case? I don't know. But XRP at this price, I think it's very cheap right now. It's at some level of support, but it still probably will come down further. Just, it's such a scam market, man. If it's got some utility and like the supply isn't held by a bunch of idiots, then maybe. But even hype, all of these, I told everybody at $40, I'm out. Make your money and get out. Let's go to this. See, look, while talking, we have this being made. The core claim is largely accurate. So I said, is it true that we've been in wars except for 16 years? The core claim is largely accurate and has been cited by multiple researchers. U.S. has been at war or engaged in military conflict for approximately 225 plus years of its 250 years of existence. The exact number of peace years varies from 16 to 21. So then here's our little graph. Oops. The United States is a war addict. Is it true? 234 years at war, 16 years of peace. Look at this bar right here, dude. How crazy is that? Let me download this real quick. Just open it. So China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the United States is a war addict. The incomplete list. Look at all of these different wars we've been in since the Revolutionary War. These are a breakdown of the years. So this is kind of showing you a little bit of what Ian was talking about, how quick and easy that this can be done. All right. It's worse than buying poker chips because at least I have a chance. Well, it's different for me. I played poker professionally, semi-professionally. So this is 250 years of existence. All of the red is at war. The green is not at war. How crazy is that? Of all the enemies to public liberty, war is perhaps the most to be dreaded because it comprises and develops the germ of every other. James Madison, 4th President of the United States, 1795. Verdict, largely true. Multiple historians and researchers have independently verified that the U.S. has been engaged in military conflict for all but approximately 16 to 21 years of existence. That is so crazy. The Congressional Research Service lists over 400 instances of U.S. military force abroad since 1798. China has cited Western researchers' own data. This is crazy right here. I got to post this right here. I'm going to post this on X. That is insane. Where's that video from Ryan? Here it is. Let's repost it. The United States has been at war all but 16 to 21 years of its 250-year existence. How do you spell existence? Don't believe me? Look at the data. Right here. Boom. Post. Crazy, man. Follow me on X if you haven't already. Danksters Intel. And some of these posts I've been making have been going a little crazy. Like the one that I made exposing how these people are using paid platforms to attack through bounties. I made a video on it. You should go check it out. So I built a website. Well, I'm building a website. Algorithm exposed. xalgoexposed.com. It's just being, this is just the landing page, but what I have behind here is going to teach people how to use, it's a chat bot. It's basically Grok. I built my own version of Grok. You can put your post in here. It explains to you why it would do well, why it won't. It'll tell you all of I broke down the algorithm essentially. They made it open source. But if you're a member here, you get access to the websites that I build. So soon this will be coming out. I probably won't make many mentions of this if you're a member. So really the early members will understand this, or those that become members and come back and look. But yeah, there's a whole chat bot behind here. I built an email system. Let me see if it works. I have my own email system. It's whitelisted. And then I could see if people do apply and stuff like that. But yeah, for now, it's just this. But yeah, you'll be able to join the wait list. You can put your email, Danks on lock, whatever. And this is what it'll show. So if you want to join the wait list, oops, I spelled my email. Yeah. Anyways, just a fun side note. So if any of these were going to save you right now, you'd imagine, but let's go look at the dollar, XAU, USD, gold versus the dollar. Look at where it's at today. It's surging today because people know that gold is the only thing, and silver. Look at it. It's at all-time highs. This is gold against the dollar right now. Okay. This is gold. Let's look at silver. I forget the XAG. I think it's XAG spot. Silver surging again after a nice dip. So these are the only things. Nothing else is surging, man, except for these stock companies. Booz Allen. I mean, not surging, but what about Palantir? These are the only people making money. People holding gold, raw metals, or military companies. Is Palantir up? I don't know. They've been having a rough quarter. So I think I'm going to hold off on the Ian thing and the AI stuff. We'll get into that in another day. But let me see. Oh, let me get into the to Jank a little bit more and what he said.
We are.
Oh, he made it
every night, Monday through Friday, right? So Monday at 6, we'll have, but barely by one missile has gotten through. Of course, our bases are unprotected. Israel has Iron Dome, and no, I'm not talking about Mark Levin's head. And so they are very, very protected. Nevertheless, there's tons of articles about, are the Israelis okay? The poor guys started a war. I mean, the 57 dead girls in an elementary school in Tehran, not as big a deal, but they're like, oh my God, there's air sirens over Israel. I can't believe they started a war. And they're slightly nervous about it. Is Israel okay? I don't really care about whether Israel's okay or not because they started this war. And I've been told for the last 2 years by the Israelis, if you start a war, then it's everything after that is your fault. And if your country is annihilated and almost every building is destroyed and 100,000 people are killed, it's totally fine. You started the war. That's what I heard from Israel for the last 2 years. No problem in obliterating Gaza and the innocent civilians there because, hey, you started the war. I mean, the occupation doesn't count. The fact that we didn't get there for 6-7 hours, whatever.
So obviously there's lots of different perspectives being taken on this, but all to bring it back home. At the end of the day, we're going to wrap up here shortly. We're divided. Money's being made in a very isolated area, and it's specifically for the war mongers or whatever you want to call them. But all the things that I covered are true, obsessively true, I mean, we started with bombs falling on Iran today. Operation Epic Fury now is what it's called. The second time in 8 months that we've actually bombed this country. whose democracy we overthrew 73 years ago, a country that was at the negotiating table yesterday. Okay, a country whose foreign ministers mediated, their mediator literally was saying peace was in reach, and then hours after that, after just right when after they said peace could be in reach, is in reach, we see strikes on Iran. I talked you through the money, showing you that we pay for these missiles, these bombs, this destruction. But the $8 trillion since 9/11, 300 billion went to Israel, plus half a trillion went to Israel. 30 billion in the last 2 years alone in this region has been gifted or spent. All of it is on a government credit card, a debt card. None of it has been paid for. None of it has been voted in by Congress. None of it, especially in the last decade or whatever. I don't know exactly what Congress has been involved in, but especially right now, Congress has not voted. This Constitution requires certain things. So we've thrown the Constitution out the window. Gas hasn't gone down. Gas has only gone up. And we are claiming to do this for what? To make our lives better, safer, more affordable? No, it's not true. You can sit here and say that the Dow is up. That's like 5 companies out of the entire 30 plus in Dow. The rest are eating trash. The entire market is getting crushed. Everybody that I know is getting destroyed. The S&P 500, if you look, maybe not so bad. I mean, the stock market seems to always go up, but it's because we're printing money. Let me see if I can get a whole stock market oversight. The Dow, so ridiculous. This is what they say, the Dow is up. This is what they say. The Dow is up. This is year to date. So from January to now, January 1st to now. That's what Pam Bondi is trying to get people's minds off of the Epstein files. The Dow might be up a little bit. Not a little bit. It's up a lot, actually. But it's not up right now. It's down. It's down. I mean, it's not up. The Dow is down, actually, over the last month. The Dow over the last 3 months has gone up a little bit, like 0.6%. So you're trying to tell me that this is more important than people's lives? It's more important than children? This is terrible, man. You can't fool me, man. When you say the Dow is up, immediately I'm like raising red flags. The Dow is not up. Not enough to brag versus children. It's just not. It's a bold-faced lie. Not to mention, she's a registered foreign agent, Pam Bondi. And then just destructs the she takes away the policing, I guess you could say, of FARA. She's taking away the policing of FARA. Okay, look at my post. I've got multiple posts here about it. Here's one. Pam Bondi, FARA filing, registration, 6415. 34,000 views. I made a whole video about it. If you haven't seen it, I'll put the link in the description. It's a live stream that I go into her entire thing. It's not going to let me share. Here, let me go watch on YouTube. I'll share it. If you guys want to see the Dow is up and where she comes from, you should probably watch that video. Go to my timeline. But yeah, man, it's just ridiculous. The lies that they feed us, man. I just can't believe it. So anyways, I appreciate you guys for being here. I really wanted to come through and just share the way I see things. because I see things very realistically. I'm understanding to an extent. I want us to have what's great for America first. I'm not as radical as saying America only, although we probably should be. Every other country is their country only. They are their country only. Why can't we? Why is it a bad thing to be America only? It's because we have so many people in this country that are from other countries. And just because of that, you want to say we have to go out and terrorize the whole world and spend our money and put us further and further into debt? I'm telling you, they will decouple the dollar from every other country soon. The countries like BRICS or whatever it is, the Brazil, Russia, China, and all these, there's all these other countries involved. Let me see if I can find BRICS. What countries are now in BRICS? Become a member if you want to come to the members only live streams and partake in some of the things that we do in there and the businesses or the websites that I build if you want access. As of early 2026, BRICS has expanded to 11 full member nations. So you've got now Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Indonesia. These are the very countries that, I mean, I'm telling you, they're working on it. There's partner countries, recent membership changes, Argentina, Saudi Arabia. What countries are likely going to move to BRICS soon? Over 50 countries have expressed interest. There's only like 200 countries. Top candidates for full membership, current partners: Southeast Asia, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Nigeria, Uganda, Bolivia, Cuba, Belarus. Wider interest list: Bahrain, Kuwait, Palestine, Algeria, Senegal, Morocco, Zimbabwe, Colombia. Yeah, maybe they're not the healthiest economically, but these countries are looking to, they've already had applications, including Turkey, Azerbaijan, Pakistan, and others. So enough of these eventually will turn into our money not meaning shit. That's what will happen. I'm telling you, it will happen. Welcome to the new memberships. You're officially a Dankster. All right, guys, I got to go. I got a meeting I got to be at in an hour, so I got to get prepared for that. I'll see you in the next one. Pray for those if you like. I know I will. And yeah, thanks for sticking around. Yeah, this is crazy shit. But we have more control than we might think. Okay, there's a lot more control than we might think. I'm gonna do a members only live stream tomorrow, probably starting at 11 Pacific. Make sure you're there if you want to see some of the things I'm doing, and if you want to talk more about the things that we haven't talked about today. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and I'll see you on Monday. I'm going to be doing more live streams and videos moving forward, only because my time is very, very slim for editing and all this other stuff. So, and plus, I like doing this with you guys. This is a much better way of getting to know the audience and engaging and putting out. You get to see how I research, how I put forth information, and I think it's great for learning if you want to become better at doing this stuff too. So, I'll see you guys tomorrow. If you're a member, it's only 99 cents. And if you want to join the group and part of the research, it's $5 on patreon.com/originaldankster. We'll see you later. Peace.